horrible compared to some of the others, in my opinion, and other, you know, like my Echelon and stuff. It's just not as good, so I'm hoping to make it a little better. But I want to leave this trigger shoe because I like it. So you can see I'm just basically taking up the safety on the outside. And then it's kind of got this where you think that's the wall, but actually right there, you kind of have a double, which you, until you get used to this trigger, you may want to go, okay, there's a wall. Oh, wait, no. There, you got to kind of put a little pressure, like a pound or so, to get it back to its true. Then there's a wall. Then you're still going to move a lot. And see how far it goes back? The only good thing about that whole process, it's all the way back. So you don't have to worry about it. So as you can watch, then from then on, you've got the same feel, and it does not feel bad. Like I really like it. It's just that first. Okay, it's all back together. I can't show you guys this part, but you're gonna be just like me. Am I gonna be blown away, or am I gonna be like, ah? So clear, popped it back together. Let's check our take up. Still has that. See that? It almost makes a different sound now. That seemed a lot. Yeah, that's different. Okay. Okay, I'm definitely, yeah, it's a, I can't tell you, I don't have a gauge, but okay. Definitely an improvement. Hello everybody, welcome to Bass and Bonsai. We are down in the lab today, right? We're not out on the water, we're kind of back in the house, but we're gonna call this our little lab, right? Because I'm officially a Glocksmith, I know. It's not really a thing, right? It's kind of like giving somebody hinters, or give you some points and some hinters, and we call them hinters. Pointers and hints today are, should you mess with your stock Glock triggers, or even the clones like the Shadow Systems, the Dagger? Should you mix and match parts, stuff like that? We're going to talk about that. And then the Ghost, Ultimate Ghost 3.5 trigger. We've got a few different things. So kind of an unboxing. I'm going to show you these triggers. As you can tell, all these guns are completely cleared. Blasters, whatever you want to call them. We got the Shadow Systems War Poet, kind of an eBay PSA blend, with the Glock Performance trigger, and then just a stock complete Dagger with a few parts on the outside, but internals, trigger, everything is Dagger. So I'm going to compare all these, and then I'm going to break away, and I'll come back, put this. I'm going to put it in the Shadow Systems, because we've already got the Performance trigger in this. I'm going to leave the PSA stock, because I actually like that. I just need to see if I can figure out a way to adjust it. I'll show you more about that later. So let's just unbox this. It came in a, you know, packaging from eBay, but then it came like this. I haven't taken it out any further. I don't even know if everything showed up that I ordered. It's actually a kind of a trigger kit. So it comes with all of this stuff. We got the 3.5 Ghost, pretty much polished up. I may add a little bit to that. I don't know if I should show you guys that or not. I don't know if YouTube allows me to or not. You won't see me putting this in. There's videos out everywhere of people doing all this, but like, you guys comment if you'd really like to see me and the way I do it, because I don't even know if I can make them. I know I can probably make them. I can't monetize them, but I don't know if it'll get the whole channel kind of kicked off. I don't know all of the exact gun tuber rules that they put us in a different category now. I'm not a gun tuber. I'm a fisherman, but I'm messing with guns at the moment. Been around them, had some on and off my entire life, but anyway. So we're going to put all of this in, and then I guess we need to decide which one of these we want to go with, and I don't even know how to get them apart. So I think we've got two different rates. Probably go with the softest first just to try it, and I don't know, probably have to go all the way and shoot it and find out if we're going to have any failures or not. So anyway, we're going to get that on, but before we do, I just want to show you these. This is kind of for you and me, so I'll know. I don't have a gauge to tell you weights. I just go by feel and all that, and that's generally what most of you guys do. But I'm going to go kind of with what I feel. Let's just go with what I think is probably the best to the worst is what I got right now. So we'll start with this guy, right? So this is just a The top is a Leo Precision. The internals, other than the trigger, is a Glock Performance trigger. But believe it or not, it fit right in. I didn't have to monkey with anything. It goes right in. They say the Gen 3, you got to cut a little tab, basically. But the Palmetto is a big enough. I did have to hold it in a weird kind of angle it and then to get that pin in, but it goes right in. So anyway, without further ado, let's check this one. So it's got this, you kind of see that kind of slow coming back. And one thing I noticed, if you put the performance trigger in, I didn't notice it, and I don't notice it with the stock Dagger, is every once in a while, like when I'm just racking the slide, and if I'm holding the trigger back, you know, like on a reset to check the reset like I'll show you, this can kind of jump up, and I think it's just because the stock one right here and then the performance one's maybe a little wider and it catches the slide. I don't know if there's a way to fix that or what, but just something to watch out for if you have that issue. So anyway, as you can see, and you'll see the stock one on the other green one, OD one here in a minute, sniper green, whatever they call it. I'm going to try to keep my finger back where you can see. Also not, in my opinion, nowhere near, the shoe itself is actually very cheap. Nowhere near like what this Shadow Systems one is, but it's the internals what make the difference. So you can see it's like crazy how fast it takes up, and the wall's like out pretty far compared to all the others. So there's the wall right there. I couldn't tell you how much. Pretty heavy. I don't think it's any lighter than any of the others in my opinion. Maybe a touch, but it does like breaks way quicker. But as you can see, then the take up, or I mean then the reset. But if you watch where it stops when you reset it, see how it kind of goes back further. I've watched several Johnny Glock videos where he's talking about that, and there's ways to take that out with, like, that's what he does in his kits. But very nice in everything it does. Let's watch it one more time all the way. So not a lot of travel. Definitely the best one I've got so far. I'm gonna set that one out of the way. But as far as, like some people said, as far as safe and all that, I'm not really too big on that. So the next one, this is my favorite. That's why I'm gonna put this in, see if I can get it just better feeling overall. But the Shadow System, this just feels way better made. When you pull on the side, it just feels more like it doesn't jump around as much. And I feel like if it were to get caught on something on the outside, it would. It's just a safer and a better looking, feeling trigger overall on the shoe. But so it's got a horrible compared to some of the others, in my opinion, and other, you know, like my Echelon and stuff. It's just not as good. So I'm hoping to make it a little better. But I want to leave this trigger shoe because I like it. So you can see I'm just basically taking up the safety on the outside. And then it's kind of got this where you think that's the wall, but actually right there, you kind of have a double, which you, until you get used to this trigger, you may want to go, okay, there's a wall. Oh, wait, no. There, you got to kind of put a little pressure, like a pound or so, to get it back to its true. Then there's a wall. Then you're still going to move a lot. And see how far it goes back? The only good thing about that whole process, it's all the way back, so you don't have to worry about it. So as you can watch, then from then on, you've got the same feel, and it does not feel bad. Like I really like it. It's just that first. I got a pin walking out. You guys see that? Hang on. And I had this apart. I may not have had it back. I may not have just got it back in right. Now that pin's just sliding all around. See that? Huh. Maybe I've taken it in and out one too many times. It is definitely not catching. That spring, the way it works in there, there it goes. That caught. I felt it. It caught that time. I don't know what was going on. But I've had this apart off and on. And I'm getting ready to take it apart again as soon as I cut to this video. So this, I got this, I don't know how many rounds have been put through this, a ton, but I got it used. Trigger was like horrible. Polished everything up. It feels good now except for this part I'm going to show you that I've showed you a second ago. You go to there and you think like, because it goes, see that? I'm putting, you know, not a ton of pressure. I'm defeating this safety. I'm moving it a little, and you would think on most other triggers there's your wall, but it's really right there. So you just kind of have to, and once you're out, you know, and I'm shooting, I don't notice that. You'll pull it back to there like every time. So, and that's, as you'll see, where the reset is. So it's really not bad. And it's really like what a Glock is set up to do, which the performance trigger and the Timney Alpha changed the whole thing. So what's basically happened is it's on that very first pull, it's pretty much working like double action. It's starting to pull and load up that spring even more throughout this entire process, coming all the way to there until it breaks. Then on the reset, it's still going to do it a little, but you're closer to the back. So anyway, I'll probably be going back on this video also to see how that was right there compared to when I get this stuff switched out. And that was the main thing I wanted to check, was on this fill, because it's actually good enough. Like right there, there's no problem. Like you can go on the accuracy. One thing I found, I'll talk about in other videos, I feel to get you need to take up this wobble to get to make a Glock or a Glock clone more accurate. And I pretty much done with this. It's got just a little bit, but as I'll show you on some of these, like just squeezing the trigger, you can watch your slide going up and down if it's too sloppy on like some of these clones, and that is definitely not good. But anyway, we're talking about triggers right now today. So let me set this one down. Then there's my Zafuri Precision slide that been kind of, I don't know if I like that look or not, but it's waiting on parts. So now this one, and I would recommend, unless you're going with a very good name upgrade, like say on triggers or barrels or something, messing around with no name eBay stuff and all that, you would probably be better off to go with full Palmetto if you want to go the cheapest route, or go with, you know, Shadow Systems or whatever clone brand, possibly even like Zafuri, Agency, or any of those that have their own barrel slide and all that combo, because I'd have noticed a different, and I'll be talking about future videos on this one, but this guy feels awesome except for where everything plays out, and I do not like that trigger. I wish if it would load up right here, and if this I felt was safer, I would love this trigger, but because I actually like the way it feels in my hand. The problem is I'm getting ready to show you, I think I already got it going. So I feel this getting caught on clothing or something is the least safe trigger. That's why I don't think anybody hardly messes with them like this anymore. You may as well just have a normal trigger on there. This a little thing here really does nothing, because the minute you snag something on the side, it defeats it. See that? I'm barely catching, and it bypasses it. So therefore, I got another gold trigger coming that will probably go, I may take the shoe off, put it on the Glock Performance one in this, and then put the, I think I'm going to leave everything. I think I like the way it feels other than this shoe. I think I'll switch out the shoe, leave everything else stock Palmetto. And that's eventually, because I'm not going to carry any of these for that matter, so it's not a huge deal, but I just don't like that. So let's watch this one. So as you can see, and maybe this one's just not set right. Like that is just not, it's already, like when you let off of it, it's already kind of halfway not right. Anyway, so this one, you kind of go to and it's kind of the same way. You kind of get to there, but it's really there. So all the way back here, before you get to the wall, and then all the way, and you see how that slide jumps. I need to tighten these up. I haven't done that yet. But like any of them, and like almost any Glock I've ever dealt with, that first, it's kind of like a double single action, any other semi-auto that has it. That first pull, once you get used to that on whichever firearm at the time you're using, it's fine, because then after that, And I would say this one has as clean and maybe as soft, less weight as any of the others, maybe even better. It's just, it's all happening way back here, and maybe if you got smaller hands that's a little better, but for me I got pretty, you know, large hands. They're not gigantic or anything, but to the Echelon, to any of the other pistols that I have, this feels like it's all taking place way in there too far. So see that? You guys see that slide jump around? So unfortunately with the daggers, I did it with the shadow systems. The daggers don't have, you can't really adjust the up here unless you want to mess around with the slide, which I may do. But back here, the daggers, one thing that makes them better, they actually have the little insert you can change out of it. So say you were to bend it or just do some damage, it's a simple like $5 piece you can't switch out. So I'm going to try to tighten this up basically in the back. And it's not horrible, but when I'm loading this or whatever I'm doing, I don't want the slide to do any jumping, and some of these clones, they just will get that if the tolerances are. And I understand you want it, that's part of what makes a Glock, you know, the tolerance is not being completely down into the super close specs like a 1911, let it run a little, you know, say longer, dirtier and all that, but you still have to have it to a certain level. So anyway, this trigger, see that? Like, I just kind of come back with some pressure, and it takes that far to break. But then it's just like the shadow. Once it goes, then I actually like the way that feels. But once you get out shooting, this is kind of all like, if you guys watching if you watch the fishing also and shooting, I'll mess with the reels in here, and like I'll tell you about stuff that you won't even notice once you're out there fishing with it. Just like as if you were out there shooting. If this was the only firearm you own, this trigger feels fine. It like is and if it was probably the only one I owned, it would probably feel better than any of the others. It's just so far off on how tight, how far up it is, and then just the fact that I was messing around with that shoe, and look, like there's no, I'm barely grabbing that, and it just completely defeated that basically finger on the trigger safety. Like something has to get all the way in there on this one. There's no way, like it takes something completely up in there to get that thing. It's just an extra little safety thing that in my opinion does, I don't know, it's just in the back of your head kind of deal. And this one is actually real good because it's kind of rounded off. Like the edges, like it would be hard to get something in there to catch that sucker. Like I do like that part about it, but it looks and kind of feels cheap. But I would that shoe over this shoe any day, just on as far as for a safety thing. As far as feel, that part's kind of close. The internals, this one by far. See how I was kind of missing? I had to, you could hear it clicking. I had to get my finger on there a little more. But this one definitely should be a more accurate, just easier overall. A lot of guys say, well, what's one you wouldn't want to carry with? But that thing actually, and it may just be the fact that it's in a dagger, it does not feel like it feels like it takes not as much pressure, but I would say, I'm just guessing, I'm not big on knowing exact weights of pulls, but that's got to be closer to over 4, not like 3. Or it's closer to, I don't know. I don't think it would be an issue because it's, you kind of have to. Now, if you get used to one where you're used to pulling the trigger all the way back and you reach in this one, but you can feel that wall, like. Yeah, I guess I could see if you were a little anxious. And then I'll check this one real quick. Like this one, yeah, this one is definitely, you're not gonna, I don't think anyway, you would accidentally, you know, kind of jump in and squeeze that one. This one's you're gonna come in on that first shot for sure, and you're gonna have to definitely make sure and know that you were squeezing on that trigger. That's kind of the same way just the stock Glock clone is in general when they're stock. It takes, you know, I don't think you're going to accidentally fire one of those off. So anyway, I know this is a long-winded one, but I'll be back. Switch this out. One last little, this be the last one we looked at. So take up, kind of a false take up if you don't squeeze hard enough, but there's a true take up. I just kind of, then it's got quite a bit of travel. I don't mind that reset, and then after that, it feels very good to me. Very smooth, consistent, not overly hard to pull. I like it. I'll be back. I guess I can pull you guys along part of the way, but anyway, I got the slide off, and this is not a clean gun. I've shot maybe a couple hundred rounds and haven't cleaned it since the last trip, so I mean, it's not like it's perfectly clean. Probably needs a little oil, but it's fine. So to get into this, I'm going to have to pull these 3 pins, and I'll be back. Okay, got the trigger out. Now what I basically have to do, the bottom part's pretty simple. I'll just pop this off. This new piece will go in here. I may polish it before, but then I forgot all about the fact I got to take apart. Oh, and then this goes on the inside down in here. But I've got to take apart the slide also to get the firing pin spring on, and then this other little bitty for the plunger, safety plunger spring. So yeah, quick. That was like 30 seconds. Forever for me to realize and double check. You have to take your red dot off, unfortunately, with it. These best probably way to mount a red dot, worst one you have to work on this thing. So if you guys don't know about the whole shadow systems, they've got this crazy thing that works awesome. They've basically redone the whole assembly in here to where it doesn't come all the way out the back anymore for your extractor. The problem is, to get to this little pin and get this all popped, you have to take the red dot back off, which isn't a huge deal. I'll have to double check zero though, but it was pretty close, and these mount so well. What I am going to do though, I'm not going to clean all that off. I'm leaving it, it's kind of like a perfect little sleeve, so I'm going to leave those alone, and they both go in real long ways. I will put more blue Loctite on the threads, and then whatever gets sucked up and in there to just reseal that. But so, and it should be the way they give you this little sleeve to put in, it's a very tight fit, so I'm sure the zero will be off a hair, probably, you know, windage left or right, but maybe not. We'll just double check it. So anyway, now to finish doing that, just so I can get that little plunger spring in, I'm just going to go ahead and put it all. I've already switched out. I've got the lightest one on here. The trick to that is, if you're going to do this yourself, is what they tell me anyway, is make sure where the two halves go together, don't have it meeting up with where that very end, if you can see in there, the very end of, let me make sure the camera's working, the very end of the wire, make sure it's about halfway right in on one of the halves. If you put it right where the cut is, it can have it all jangled up, and that can be not very good. So anyway, that's ready to go. Let's do this and I'll be back. All right, got that out. I'm probably going to go ahead, since I don't want to have to ever take this out again. I might go ahead and polish it all up one more good time, but everything's fine. There's no like excessive wear or anything. I may hit a polishing wheel on it, I don't know yet. Okay, so pop that little pin out. It takes pressure off. That basically push pressure and push the pin back in once you get set up, but this isn't about doing all that. I did want to show you though the two different springs. There's one that was in it, and it's definitely stiffer, and you can just tell a thicker gauge, so that's definitely going to soften it up. I hope I'm not I hope this thing's still reliable. As long as it is, we'll be good to go. If it isn't, I'll have to do this whole process, and just so I'm keeping all the stock stuff, and I know which ones were which. Striker spring, all that, that's Shadow Systems, War Poet stuff. So if I don't like the way this feels, I'm just gonna put it right back, and then we'll try this and maybe one of these other ones. So anyway, getting closer. Okay, I just thought I'd put this in here. I'm not gonna do anything, I'm just gonna tell you what to do. This pin, to get it back, like the difference between the other ones are, you actually need to stick something through the end, push the spring. It's a smaller, shorter version. They've just taken out that whole long shaft. Technically, you don't even need it. So this pin, you might get mistaken and try to put it in here. It does not go in. That's where your red dot mounts up. It actually goes in the end of this slot right here. So you got to push with something, push all the spring assembly back, instead of like where your plate would normally go up and hold it because it's got the long shaft in between. Now all that's been shortened, and this has to go in the end of that bottom piece. If you get to a point and you have a shadow system, it's like, oh my god, I got it apart, but I don't know how to put it back together. Everything is pretty much identical on a normal Glock except for this one little part right here, and this goes at the very end of that long cutout. You'll have to push that spring stuff past it, start to get it in, and then work it all the way in. If you're trying to figure out how to get it out and you're not to this point yet, it's from the underneath side. Your little tool here can actually work and pushes it out. But when you do that, it's just watch out. Everything's spring loaded, so stuff can't go flying. But I'll be back. That all we gotta do now is get into this bad boy. So we've got this apart. I've got to pop this off. Is real simple. This spring will be attached to that. I'm not gonna go through the process, but basically I'll undo it from this end. And pay attention to where, the main thing on these you need to pay attention to is how this goes. So as you can see in the back, it's going up and it's going to go down on the actual trigger bar. If you, it can get janky if you go the wrong way. It'll still work maybe, but just try to go with the way that it is, and if your firearm hasn't been apart yet. If you're having issues and something, you may want to check. That's just one thing you might want to check into. But anyway, simply pop that off, take the spring all the way out, switch that out. It's a quick process, and then we're going to get this one off. I feel like I'm not changing anything. I don't know, maybe something is different, but looking at these, I feel they're the same thing. I might be wrong. SS22, I'm not even sure what they put in. I haven't even checked that far, but what I may do is I'm going to go ahead, like I said, put this one in. I may, if I like the way this feels, I may take everything I took out of the shadow systems and put it in one of these daggers, as that would probably be an upgrade. But honestly, looking at this, that part, I don't feel there's any difference. It looks like the angles and the stuff, they basically switch out some of the angles can switch on how these go. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's a slight difference I can't see to the naked eye, to me anyway. But on the spring, I've already got that done. But this thing, I honestly don't know. I don't know if I feel a difference in that. The other stuff I could kind of tell the difference. I don't think this stuff may be the exact, already in a shadow systems, I don't know, different from a stock Glock. But we're going to put it in, try it, and then, like I said, if I like it, we'll leave it, and then I may start swapping some parts around on these other, on this one anyway. This one I think I'm going to leave entirely stock, other than I'm definitely, at some point, the shoe will be replaced. I just don't know when. Okay, it's all back together. I can't show you guys this part, but you're going to be just like me. Am I going to be blown away, or am I going to be like, ah? So, clear. Popped it back together. Let's check our take up. Still has that. See that? It almost makes a different sound now. That seemed a lot. Yeah, that's different. Okay. Okay, I'm definitely, yeah, it's a, I can't tell you, I don't have a gauge, but okay. Definitely an improvement. I'm not sure which part. Now, we just got to hope. So look. I don't know if you guys can tell that extra creep. Like this part, but that. So now, when it's a wall, it's a shorter, the whole take up on the beginning, it still goes back some, but I don't know if it's coming across the camera, but it definitely feels better. I think it's an improvement. If she'll still, because I've never had a mount, I'm knock on, where's some wood? Oh my God, there's no wood around. Let's knock on marble. I have not had any malfunctions on this firearm. So if they start, in the ammo I've used the black box brand called Ammo, Magtech, Federal. Never been an issue. I think I only put maybe 100 rounds or maybe 200 rounds since the compensator, but still no issues there. So we will see. So let's compare it. Okay, so here's, okay, so something just changed. It actually, there's less of that. Remember I talked about there's kind of a false wall, then there's a wall. So that's kind of gone. It's kind of just a wall. Doesn't go far. Take up, reset, and then, so yeah, I like that. So let's double check this one real quick. If you guys remember this gun, it's clear. It's definitely, I'd say it's closer to this one in the poundage, but it's not, there's more movement in the trigger, if that makes sense. More movement going on, but it definitely feels a lot closer to the Glock performance trigger just by changing those. And I really think it was just this and then the plunger. Those were the two, like I could tell from what the Shadow Systems comes with. Now stay tuned. I don't know if I put it in this video or maybe a separate video. I may take these parts, tear into this dude, because I just took him apart and swapped this in. Actually, I can't put, I could put the striker, but then the performance trigger, I think I could put this in if it's different, but I don't know. I'm not even sure what the performance trigger comes with. At some point, I may just check into seeing what, if they would help this one, but I kind of like that trigger other than the shoe. Anyway, definitely, I want to say these were, and you could probably go right now still and get them. I want to say I gave like 24 bucks with free shipping for that little kit. You get this. These will sell for like 20 by themselves. If the Ghost with the little cutouts, I don't even know if that's just for looks or what. But the 3.5 or different ones. But then you can track down where the whole kit, you'll come, and there's one on there for like 32 or 27 or 30 that comes with 3 different weight springs and pretty much what you've seen in this kit. So for $24, yeah, every day, all day long, I think it's going to help. As long as it, and then all that I will change, if for some reason it does, you know, we're having like light primer strike type deal, I'll just go back to this goldish colored one. This was even, I think this is even heavier. So then if I go back to this one and say it's still having some issues, then I would try the stiffest one. If you're having, and I'm going to get out of here, failures to feed, it's probably related to this spring on your recoil guide. Light primer strikes, this spring. That's basically the difference. Now, yes, it could be, you know, if it's a spring related deal. This little deal is just strictly safety related type thing. Like that's just a safety related type issue. It's not true the thing. And then this, it's only going to have an effect on the feel. Like I don't care, as long as you have one of these in there, I don't think that part is going to affect any kind of other than a feel performance of making it less or more reliable. These two are your main, you got to watch how light you go. Then so you can go as light as you want. And just for example, then I'm gonna get out of here. This guy, whoa, look out. Then I'm gonna get out of here. This guy right here had this spring in it, and I was actually having issues, and I don't know who told me this on a video. If you want to check your spring, he felt to be a safe and reliable spring to have is you should be able to hold your pistol like this up, pull it back, you know, whatever distance, and let off, and it should basically go back into battery on its own. Not necessarily, you know, as it's loading around, but, you know, just that. This would not do that in this configuration with that spring on it. And I tried the one out of this guy, and it wouldn't do it either. So I ordered, which is supposed to be a lower recoiling one. And as you can see, it goes all the way back, but I think is a little bit longer. I think it may have been for, actually it's supposed to be for a 17. So I may have some issues. I'm gonna try it, but it locks up every time now. So I could see I would have had some issues if I'd have left that in it. So that's why it got that spring and not any of the others. And the Shadow System's got this because this is my favorite one at the moment. The War Poet, which I switched out the barrel. Now I switched that out. I switched out, they come, or you can get them with the Hollow Sun, but I switched out to the ACSS. I just like that over the standard one, 507. Knockoff light. No need to spend $300 for a light if I'm just going to the range with it. Actually, in my opinion, these, I have not had an issue with any of them yet. I'm how many do I have? 4 right now. I've got another 4 on the way, so testing them out. Would you bet your life on them? Probably not, but for so far, and you know, if I was just, you know, if I was going to war, I would not want this. If I wanted to keep something by my bedside or whatever, I wouldn't have a problem with this one. I've yet to have it not, you know, turn on. The very first one I got 4 more coming in this color. This one, and I don't know why, when I first got it, I thought it worked. And then it, one side, I think it's that side, which I hadn't pushed that side because this is the side I play with. Like I always use my, you know, as I'm coming up, this is what I'm gonna be activating something with. And I never had pushed it, and I guess it just needed to be worked in. That was before I did any of the painting stuff, but so putting some rounds through them. Stay tuned. It's $20. It's a knockoff, but don't try to sell them as a real thing. If you're, I mean, they're easy to tell once you're looking at 2 of them side by side. But for just a good light, and the reason I got them, and let me show you this. Then I'm definitely out of here. Is so I can rig up a holster, say such as this holster, and be looking forward to a video. I'm going to talk about these holsters I'm getting, whether they're coming off eBay or whatever. So let's go through that. Maybe I'll make a separate video here, but I'll show you guys on the end. So the first holster I picked up, I was at the gun show, bought this dude for 20 bucks. Did the little cut so it could hold a red dot. No light though. I think it's for M&P, but it worked with all the Glock or clones without a light. Then I ordered this one, and anything with like basically a light, but the X300 works good. And it's not bad, and it's got the clip. I bought that and a belt to go with it and all that. And then I was at the gun show again, bought this one for 20, and it actually is for a different light. I think it even tells you on the back. Yeah, TLR1, TLR2. So basically any pistol, red dot or not, with that light, it just will set in there. And that's not a bad one. But then this one was one of the worst ones I bought. And I modified it. So I went in. You won't be able to tell a lot, but the ones off AliExpress, wherever, I had to basically Dremel it to where now anything that, almost anything will fit in there. It stops. That's not a real secure way to hold it, but it'll hold all of these. It'll hold the echelon. Basically, putting that light on it is what keeps it from rolling around. And that's probably my favorite one going at the moment. Now, I just picked up this one, and it's just a softer one. I figured, well, try to find something that doesn't wear, because anytime you're rubbing plastic on plastic or metal, it can have some weird wear, especially these cheaper ones. So I got this one Tigress. It was like another $20. These are all like $20 or less holsters. So if you guys can see down in there, it's got this little Velcro thing you can put in there, and I basically have it adjusted to where that stops the down travel. I'm still working on this one. It's a work in progress. But it's one of those, if you're just out kind of on the range, or you're wanting something that it's almost more secure. So that thing is probably not going to fly out. And you see I've got this thing on the bottom keeping it, holding basically on the light. So as long as I got an X300 on it, that's one with the big comp. So like the 19, 17, you know, whether 4 or 5 inch barrels will fit. And then that snap is like real, it just barely any pressure off to the side if you're just wanting something to play around with and you like the idea of a soft one. And it's rigged up to where you put it on the molly system kind of thing. And so I've got a battle belt that I could put that on, but it's pretty good one. I didn't find one that would take a red dot, but I basically just took my Dremel and dremeled that down, cut it, left a little off, glued it to where that at least is a good system for it to butt up against. I haven't figured out what I want to do there, just leave it alone or round it off or whatever. But it works. It's just basically a system. You can adjust this to whatever light or whatever, and then adjust this internal piece. It just works good. So like you saw, that one went in. This one will slide right in, I think. It works a lot better when I'm at the right angle and it's on like by my side. So then all of these will fit right in. No problem. You aren't going to get it out, and then you just swipe it with your thumb. Game over. I don't know if you can get them for lefties, and some of these are like you can switch around. This one is pretty much but if you want one of the, like this one, you can switch. This piece comes off, this comes off, and it'll switch to left or right. And I kind of like this one. I stippled this. I just, in my practicing stippling, just to kind of make it look. But it basically I need to still get some washers to put there, and actually this will have a little better retention. There's like a little nub that sticks up there that kind of holds it. If you go too far, too tight, you basically wouldn't be able to get it off. If you go too, like it is now, it's too loose. It's kind of, needs to have a few washers put there. And that's just something you could, I don't know if I'd want to take off running with this. If I was doing running stuff, it'd probably be with something like this. As far as a cheap, AliExpress, Temu, cheap holster, I think you could run around and do whatever, and this is going to stay there until you go like that. So anyway, hopefully you like this. I know a lot of info all at once, but if you got any questions, feel free, drop them in the comments. I'll catch you guys later. Gotta go.